Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal, and this week we've got ourselves an earlier build of the War Within Alpha, with plenty more class changes for us to explore this week, with Warlocks, Death Knights, Druids, and many others getting a bunch of changes big and small. As part of this update, Warlocks are continuing to go through additional revamps. Not only have we seen Affliction Warlock get through sizable changes over the last few weeks, but even some more stuff coming out for Destruction in the future, though this week Demonology has got an absolute revamp of their spec talent tree, as it looks nothing like it does over on the Dragonflight realms, with this tree looking much more improved, offering Warlocks far better access to some of the base abilities, but also plenty of new choices and even better capstones to add new varieties of demons as part of your unholy army. So today I want to do a bit of a deeper dive for the spec of Demonology, taking a look at their entire overhaul of the talent tree, going over everything that is new and showcasing how some of these new talents are likely to influence your overall gameplay. As always, if you guys want to see more class updates like these on the War Within Alpha, follow the channel. Otherwise, let's dive right in. So when it comes to Demonology Warlocks and Warlocks in general, we first of all have a new set of changes that they wanted to kind of cover, especially when it comes to the restructuring of the Demonology Warlock talent tree, which looks very different now and offers quite a lot of talents, but also more choices as you head further down the talent tree, with new ways to augment familiar demons and even summon more demons than before, which I'm a big fan of, and I think Demonology should always strive to summon as many demons and varieties of demons as possible because it just fits so well in their class aesthetic. So one of the first things you're going to notice here is cooldown alignment with this talent tree. Like Tyrant is going to be a baseline 1-minute cooldown, and there's not going to be any other talents to reduce the cooldown of the Tyrant. They're making the cooldowns very similar to Unholy Death Knight, more set in stone, because that's most cases how players approach these classes and how they play them together. And by making these cooldowns more consistent with one another, you don't really need talents in order to help structure a build in a specific way. Besides this, also adding more support towards the Vile Fiend and the Doom Fiend, which we'll get into as we go down the talent trees, but there's now some cool ways that you can modify either one of those demons, especially the Vile Fiend, which looks absolutely amazing. Demonic cores, however, are still going to be limited for Demonology. They even addressed in this blue post they want to make Warlocks, Demonology specifically, feel more familiar in terms of the overall mobility to Affliction and Destruction. So Warlocks are not really going to be gaining back any more mobility, which I think for a lot of players in the community, that's just not going to make them any happier. I don't really know a good way of going about this, but having your class being slowed down in terms of movement without anything to return as a gain is a pretty bad trait, and it just feels bad. It might be just be one of those things where they need to do this for the sake of tuning, and then eventually the player base will adjust to it. And I wonder if there's something they can do in order to soften this blow. Like, okay, we're gonna slow down your movement, but maybe allow you to make other gains elsewhere. So maybe the talent tree will be enough for many players to still consider playing Demonology going forward. Also, in the talent for Diabolus, they have adjusted Abyssal Dominion to function with your Tyrant, and for Destruction as well as with your Infernal. So this Overfiend demon that Destruction Warlocks used to be able to summon with this talent is been removed out of Diabolus. And this is more or less what the Overfiend would look like. This guy would be summoned up, throw out a couple of chaos balls, then disappear back into the Twisting Nether. Though apparently the Overfiend is going to be making its way into the Destruction class talent tree at some point in the future build. So we'll take a look at that whenever that is available at some point later. Now, as for the Destruction talent tree, I'm actually just going to re-clear it on the right hand side, and we'll go over it row by row, and I'll showcase what is different in this talent tree and how you end up structuring it as you go down towards the capstones. Off the bat, we have things like Demoniac with Demobolt and Demonic Core, then Dreadstalkers, and early on you get to pick up Implosion, where previously Destruction Warlock or Demonology Warlocks had to pick whether to pick up Implosion for their AoE build or forgo it for a more single target build. Now you get Implosion baseline. It's one of the first few talents you have to pick before you unlock more of the talent tree, which I think is a good step in the right direction. From there, we got buffs towards your Dreadstalkers with either more auto attacks or more cleave damage with your bites. And below Implosion, we have Spiteful Reconstitution as well as Imp Gang Boss. And then you get a choice of Inner Demons down below with Soul Strike, as well as a choice between Bile Scourge or Demonic Strength. From there on, you'll see the talent trees kind of split into more caster version with a bit of an imp focus. Then you'll have down the middle more demonic focus in summoning demons, and on the right hand side will be mostly focused around your Felguard. But you'll see there's thematic components as we head further down the talent tree. Further down we have Ruin of Shadows, which empowers your Shadow Bolts as well as your pet damage, and down into the Power Siphon, which splits it to Expendables, Blood Invocation, as well as Umbral Blaze. Then we have Imperator, Fel Invocation and Training, which spreads down into Demonic Tyrant. Further down, we can empower the Tyrant to empower 5 additional wild imps and cause the Tyrant to deal more damage for every pet that he empowers, or you could go with things like Demonic Calling. On the right hand side, we have Shadow Invocation for Bile Scourge Bomber's value, or Wicked Maw, where Dreadbite causes the enemy to take additional shadow damage from the Warlock into Grimoire Felguard, into Felsunder, as well as Fiendish Oblation, where damage dealt by Grimoire Felguard is increased by additional 10%, and now you gain a Demonic Core when a Felguard ends. And further down the rows, we have things such as Doom, and then the whole Doom-sided talent tree has its own set of new talents to work with. We have things like Impending Doom, which increases the damage of Doom by 30%, and Doom generates 1 soul shard upon expiration, or Doom Eternal, where Demonic Cores reduce the duration of Doom by additional 2 seconds. When Doom is removed, its cooldown is reset, which gives Doom a 20-second window instead of a 30-second window, which sort of lines up with things like Power Siphon. And then further down, we have Pact of Eredruid. When Doom expires, you summon a Doom Guard that casts 5 Doom Bolts before departing. Each Doom Bolt deals a set amount of shadow damage. And while I'm showing off some Warlock talents, I also wanted to show off a little bit of this training ground area, where they have a bunch of trained dummies in every single direction, all types that you would want to utilize, from dungeon dummies, simple dummies, PvP trained dummies, and even cleave trained dummies over here, which is where I really wanted to show off the Doom ability. And Doom by itself actually does a significant amount of damage now. They buffed it by quite a bit to scale with your level. So doing 200,000 damage at the end of 10 seconds is not terrible. And it now summons a Doom Fiend that does cleave your targets with a Shadow Bolt volley. This cleave isn't really specifically defined in the Pact of Eredruin, as it says he does 5 Doom Bolts before departing, but they will cleave to nearby targets if there's enemies nearby, which gives the demon a lot more value in cleave or a single target, which I'm personally a huge fan of. From there on, we have other ways like Pact of Imp Mother, which gives you more Hand of Golden cast, as well as Dread Calling, which buffs the damage of your Dread Callers for every soul shard that you spend. The bottom right side mostly focuses on buffing your Felguard, as well as improving Immutable Hatred or Guillotine, but then there's also crit-based talents here as well, like Critical Strikes from spells and demons increased by 4%, or you can give your main Felguard more crit chance with improved Demonic Tactics. In the middle, however, we have a new version of Summon a Vile Fiend, which has now become a 30-second cooldown that summons the same Vile Fiend you remember as before. The Vile Fiend still deals a bit of decent damage, he's still as effective pet as he was before, but now with him having a 30-second cooldown, it lines up a little bit better with Demonic Tyrant. And the pet still gains a couple other benefits too, with Foul Mouth Talent, which upgrades the Vile Fiend's damage by 20%. And your Vile Fiend Bile Spit now applies Wicked Maw, this talent right here, to the enemy target, which cuts down a bit of that rotational complexity, as that gives you 2 pets that can apply debuff to the enemy target. But we haven't even seen the best part, as the Vile Fiend can then be further upgraded to become an Antoran Hound, with either a Mark of Shatug, which causes your pet to become a Gloom Fiend instead. And you might find these hounds kind of familiar if you played through the expansion of Legion, as these were the hounds in the final raid of Antorus, and look so much better and so much more menacing than a normal Vile Fiend does. They're absolutely massive, and they even come with their own benefits depending what type of Vile Fiend you summon, or rather what type of hound you summon, as the Gloom Hound learns the ability of Gloom Slash. Tooth and claws are drenched in malignant shadows, causing Gloomhound's melee attacks to deal additional shadow damage over 6 seconds. Any remaining damage will be added to the new Gloom Slash to make sure that the dot doesn't override itself, losing value, but rather carries over any damage into the next dot, gaining full out value, which gives this pet much better single target output, though changes his cooldown to a 45-second CD. And also there's a bit of an unfortunate interaction with the Gloomhound, because when you summon your Tyrant, he doesn't get buffed by the Tyrant. You'll see all your other pets get empowered by Demonic Power, and they'll all have a little bit extra duration, but the Gloomhound does not. The Vile Fiend will have value. The Vile Fiend can be empowered by the Tyrant to gain additional duration and value, but as far as we see, the actual Gloomhound doesn't gain longer duration. And that's going to be the same with the other alternative version of the Hound, which is the Charhound version. And to play into the thematics, whereas the Gloomhound is better at single target, the Charhound is better at AoE. Cloaked in ever-burning flames of the abyss, dealing fire damage to enemies within 10 yards every 1 second. which causes the pet to be an absolute powerhouse in AoE, constantly radiating fire damage in a fantastic cleave style output. Though with the damage being fire damage, it's not quite shadow damage, which can scale with other things such as Wicked Maw, as the Vile Fiend or your Charhound can also be further upgraded. With the talent of Shadow Touch, Wicked Maw causes the target to take additional shadow damage from your demons as well, which for your Gloomhound that's a big benefit, but for the Charhound being fire damage there is a bit of a limitation to it. Playing around with the Vile Fiend or Charhound also has other benefits, such as with things like Flame Touched, as from that talent you get an ability to empower your Dreadstalkers by 10% in terms of attack speed and critical strike chance by 15%. Another talent that's kind of in a similar row is the Houndmaster's Gambit. Dreadstalkers deal 50% increased damage while your Vile Fiend is active, which gives you a bit of a combo to tie your Demon Dogs together with your Vile Fiend or one of your Charhound or Gloomhounds, one of your Tauren Hounds, in order to empower those pets together with things like Flame Touch to increase the auto attack speed, and maybe things such as Carnivorous Stalkers to give them a chance to bite again with a Dread Bite. So there's a little bit of a synergy going on here, and you can even add things like Dread Calling, but I think put together, if a Warlock gets the right setup, your Demon Dogs could probably do a hefty bit of damage with this kind of combination. And I believe the final talent I didn't really touch on was the Sacrifice Souls, which is just about the same. Shadow Bolt and Demon Bolt gain additional damage per demon that you have summoned. Overall, the new Demonology talent tree gives you quite a lot new options and allows you to really specialize into certain demons and certain playstyles to really create unique synergies that you can put together. It's going to be interesting if they will maintain the whole idea that Vile Fiend can be empowered by your Tyrant, but your Charhound or Gloomhound cannot be empowered by a Tyrant. Might be one of those things that they're doing for the tuning purposes, or maybe it's someone that simply isn't available on the alpha, but will be made available as a mechanic later down the line. That being said, I feel like that the new version of the Demonology talent tree is a fairly sizable revamp that gives you a little bit more breathing room in how you optimize your Demonology Warlock. There's a cool bit of synergy here from the very tops with Implosion and the Imp playstyle down to the Tyrant and the Caster side of things, Demon side of things, and even the Tyrant side of things as well. And I love some of the little synergies and strategies you can employ together to combine a build to play the playstyle that you more or less want. I feel like at the end of the day, we are going to figure out what's going to be the best, most optimal build for Demonology, but there's a lot of room to be creative here with the talents that we have here. A lot of familiarity, but also that familiarity is now in different locations in the talent tree, which can give you a little bit more room to experiment and try different things as you go. And so far, playing around with Demonology a little bit, I've been having a ton of fun with it. I've already been excited for Warlocks in general, just because the hero specs are so fun. Even the Soul Harvester, which I found very passive for Demonology, is still quite a bit of fun on Affliction, with Hellcaller Affliction being absolutely insane, Diablo's Destruction, Diablo's Demonology, all of them have been a ton of fun, and Warlock is definitely on my radar as potential main option. Of course, I need to give Rogue a proper shot once our hero specs and all the talents and we get a proper set of changes over in the alpha, because I feel like majority of the Rogue kit doesn't really function well on the alpha. But a Warlock is a class I'm legitimately excited for. I like some of the little things they've added, the hero specs look really fun, everything feels thematic, the changes keep coming and they keep getting better and better. And so far between Affliction and Demonology, I'm very happy to see the things that are happening to Warlocks. I am, however, still a little concerned about the whole demonic core and slowing down the Demonology gameplay. But in general, there's definitely a lot to love from Demonology. Not everything. Again, mobility is going to be a pretty big sticking point, since that is one of the advantages of Demonology compared to Affliction and Destruction, as nobody really wants to stand there and just be a walking turret. You'd rather have a little bit of mobility and a little bit of that player agency to get around while not losing all of your DPS all in one go. But overall, I'm actually kind of excited for prospects of what Demonology is going to be looking like by the time War Within releases. But at the end of the day, my opinions and my thoughts on Demonology don't really matter. I really want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. What are your thoughts on the Demonology revamp? Do you like where it's going? What changes would you like to see going forward? And what are your thoughts about the Doom Fiend and the Vile Fiend alterations that you can do with the new set of talent trees? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As per usual, if you guys enjoyed this video or found it informative, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. And as always, in the description of every single video and live stream, we have a link to our Discord community channel. Probably the best place to reach out to me directly in case you want to let me know what you thought about this video or hang out with the rest of the community to discuss some of the upcoming changes. Join our Discord to become part of the community. But otherwise, thank you all so much for watching this video. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. And as always, I'll see all of you guys in another video.